All right, people. So the episode picks up with the reaction to what had happened the night before, and what happened the night before was with the whole um, Brandy sitting on Jim's lap and Chrissy's reaction. And Mama Jones wasn't there, but Mama Jones was like, I got a problem with it, and I'm going to have a few words with her. And so she approaches Brandy and tells Brandy that's not acceptable, that's not cute, that's not cool, don't do that shit again. Chrissy's in her feelings about it, but she's trying to not, in my opinion, she's trying to not let it escalate and become a bigger thing. But she is upset. She can tell she's still upset. The other major thing that happened is Renee Graziano, excuse me. She was in there. She was in recovery. She had just kicked an addiction to pills, like 8 months before this show started filming. Well, they got her on tape taking a pill from Brandy the night before, a sleeping pill. And so they confront her about it, and she talks about how she's really struggling, how, it's really hard, and she wants a pill, and she wants, and that night is really the hardest because, she used she, just talked about idle time being a devil's work playground. And she says she likes to play at the playground. So Dr. Ish tells her, look, whatever you need, let us know. Like, I do addiction counseling. I can be, your surrogate. If you need to go to a meeting, let us know. We will let you go to a meeting. You're not locked in this house at your own detriment. If you can't do it, if it's too much, you let us know. If you need a break, if you need to go talk to somebody, if you need to make a phone call or call your sponsor, let us know. Your sobriety is more important than what we're doing here. But what we do need to understand is, how is your family dynamic triggering your addiction? If you've been doing fine for the last 8 months and now all of a sudden you're around your sisters, and is this triggering your addiction? And so that's something that plays out throughout the whole episode, because of course Renee she's defensive, and I can understand her being defensive, but she's defensive, and she's saying how, he even brought up taking a drug test, and Renee was like, hell nah, oh nah, you ain't, no, hell no, you're not going to drug test me, that's not happening. And, that whole thing went down. So the drill for the day was the camping drill. They put them all out the house. They locked them out the house. They gave them, tents and all that other stuff. And they said, in order to get back in the house, you're going to have to provide yourself with the things you need in life, meaning shelter, food, and I forgot the third one. But I know shelter and food was two of them. Shelter and food. Must not have been that important. I don't remember. But, and they put them in, with their families. And of course, ultimately what they're doing is trying to see how they work together. Like, that's what this whole exercise was about. How are they going to work together? So, rewind. Brandy seems real upset about what happened, and she's so sorry, and she would never want to do anything to offend Chrissy and all that. I just think she's scared Chrissy gonna whoop her ass. But anyway, so they're outside and they're working, and once again, the Grazianos, they're on it. Renee takes charge. Renee's like, you do this, you do this, you do that, and they do the damn thing. They get their tent up first, at least the way it looks. They get their tent up first, and they're fishing, and Renee was out there catching fish after everybody even ate. But I think it was the exercise that was giving her something to do. It was calming her. It was letting her focus on something other than wanting to get high. So, baby, if you need to fish all night, baby, fish all night. The Joneses, of course, they run into a problem, and this time Chrissy was the one that shut down. Normally it's Jim, but Chrissy was the one that shut down because, again, Chrissy really still in her feelings about what happened the night before. But instead of dealing with it, addressing it, she doesn't want to make a bigger deal out of it, and so everything sets her off. You know how when you're mad about one thing, but everything else sets you off because you really ain't trying to deal with the thing that you're mad about? There's that. Something else that comes up in this episode, everybody starts talking about Tanya, Amber's mother, and her words slurring and all of that. I said that shit, go back and look at the videos. I said that shit like video 1 or 2, how she act like either she's still getting high or her brain is fucking fried from when she got high, because she can't get a sentence out. I mean, she slurs her words, she mumbles, you can't understand nothing she's saying. She looks bad, like her skin looks bad, like, But now there people are starting to comment on it. They're talking about how she mumbles and they can't understand her and stuff like that. So of course that's going to come into play. They're going to bring that up again, or it's going to connect somehow. Um, Brandy and her dad. I just don't understand them. I don't. So Brandy was excited because she said, "Hey, we grew up camping. We're going to get this. We're going to be on it. We're going to." I think she thought they would excel at this particular activity, but they're not. And Brandy's getting frustrated because she's trying to talk to her father and she's trying to get him to help and do certain things. And he's over helping Amber and her family. Like, he's ignoring her. He's all the way. And so Brandy's getting upset and she's getting frustrated, which I understand, and I would get frustrated as well. Problem, though, is Jim comes over to help. So, that's what pissed Chrissy off. That's why Chrissy went in the tent. She sat her ass down. She was like, y'all figure the rest of this shit out. I'm good. So, for the most part, though, everybody did the task. Everybody had a tent up. Everybody went fishing. I don't know if everybody ate the fish they caught, but everybody went fishing. And they had to, fillet the fish and cook the fish and all that good stuff. Oh, heat, they had to get their heat together. I think that was the third one, was, creating warmth, being able, keep yourself warm or what have you, whatever word they use, but that was basically what it was. So, of course, they come out and they do their whole little, this is what the exercise was about, this is why we're doing it. But they came up with this last thing. They had to pull their keys out of like in the trunks of the tree, like firewood. They had to pull that, each one of them, each family member had a piece of a key, and they had to do it together. They had to put their hands in together, and they couldn't pull their hands out until all three members had their piece of the key. And then once you got the key, you pulled it out, and that's what got you into the house. So Amber and her family go first. Amber is losing her mind. She's screaming, she's hollering, but she did not pull her hand off the log. They talked her through it, and they all three got their keys. What's inside the log are cockroaches. Who the fuck ain't putting their hand in that log is me. Nope. Nope. And the minute I feel something crawling on my hand, I probably wouldn't have been able to pull. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have done that well. I got to give Amber her props because I probably would have pulled my hand out the minute I felt something crawling. Next to the Grazianos, again, they bump through it. They go boom, 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 am. Like, I think if they were timing it, they would have had their key the fastest. So they have their key. Brandy and her dad, they get their key. Brandy freaks out. She does her freak out thing or whatever. And of course everybody's laughing at Rewind. Everybody's laughing at Amber because Amber played Big Billy Badass, but you let a couple of roaches, got you all screaming and hollering and shit. But you Billy Badass and you wanna whoop everybody's ass, whatever. Bitch, please, whatever. Bitch, please. If you scared like to that extent of fucking, something crawling on you, something I just don't like bugs. I just can't do bugs, bitch. Then go sit your ass down. With your I can't do bugs. So, bitch, please. Anyway, so we get down to the Joneses. It wasn't pretty. Chrissy actually was the one to pull her arm out. And that's when they realized that there was roaches. Because they, obviously they knew something was crawling, but they didn't know what it was. That's when they realized it was roaches. Because they were Jim actually had roaches on, a roach had actually gotten out and was on his leg. They lost it. And then everybody kind of lost it. Because again, everybody felt the crawling, but nobody knew what it was. They didn't know if it was real, if it was something simulated. You know what I'm saying? And I even heard one of them say, oh, those are real. Those are real. Like, the fuck? Those are real roaches. So, the rule was that you couldn't go back in the house until everybody got their key. So, I'm thinking that their punishment is going to be they're going to have to sleep outside. Because it blew up. Dr. Ish was saying, go ahead, try it again. And Jim's like, fuck you. I ain't doing that shit again. You fucking do it. Jim goes off. He was like, you want to discipline somebody, go find your child, you discipline him, I'm not your fucking child. You know, like, and Chris is even like, okay, Jim, like, it's not that deep, like, you don't have to go off like that. And Jim is going off, like, he's freaking out, he is not having it. And the mother was like, fuck it, I'll do it. She was like, I know he's scared of bugs. He ain't gonna put his hand back in there, but I'll get it. I see it. You know, she looked in there and she was like, oh my God, Jim, don't even look in there. You gonna fucking freak out if you see what's in there. But she volunteered to do it. But the doctors was like, no, that's not what nope, that wasn't the task. They said, you already have your piece. The task was, everybody put their hand in, get their key, everybody put their hand out. Like, you can't come in and save them. And matter of fact, I think the doctors might have kind of allowed that to happen, but then Jim was like, no, hell no, you know, divided we stand, you know, united we stand, divided we fall kind of thing. Like, we either gonna all do it together, we not gonna do it at all, and fuck that, I ain't doing it. So here we go. Judge Tola comes out to do her breakdown, and you know, she's pretty on point, going around the room talking about, you know, Guy, Brandy's dad. Oh, the other thing too was, every time Brandy started getting frustrated, her dad was like, well, just have some wine. Drink your wine. Drink your wine. Bitch, Brandy has a drinking problem. Stop telling her to drink wine every time she get mad or get frustrated. Now, I don't know if that's how y'all grew up and that's why she got a fucking drinking problem, or if you just realize that when she drinks, it makes her happy or it gets her out of her funk and you don't want to deal with the attitude. So you're like, hey, go ahead and get you a drink. I don't know the method to that madness, but I know that's real fucked up. You clearly can see your daughter has a drinking problem. And your response to it is, here, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink. And to her credit, she was like, I don't want to drink right now. Like, I'm trying to get this done. So that was some crazy shit. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why is he offering her fucking alcohol? Like, that's crazy. So Judge Tola goes around and I think her evaluation is pretty on point. You know, she told the Grazianos, look, y'all got into this really big argument earlier this morning because Renee kind of was having her meltdown and her sisters were trying to talk to her, and she was like, you don't understand. The only person that can understand is another addict, and I need to talk to another addict, and y'all can't help me. And, you know, and of course Brandy felt bad because Brandy was like, I didn't know you had a problem with Xanax. I wouldn't have fucking gave you a Xanax last night. You know, so she kind of feels bad. So it was a big argument. But then when it was time to get it done, they was on point. They put that shit aside. They got that tin up. They made that fish. They fished. You know what I mean? And that's what she was saying. Look, so y'all have something there. Y'all just got to figure out how to not let the arguments escalate because y'all know how to come back together. The problem is not letting it get to that point where y'all got to keep coming back together. And then, of course, she got to the Joneses, and she was saying how Chrissy was the one that shut down, and she was saying, you know, and Jim said that that's what you always do. Chrissy couldn't receive that. Chrissy was like, no, hell no, you getting it twisted. You don't have the whole story. That's not what I always do. That's a lie. You can't, you know, Jim is not giving you the whole story. So she kind of was getting in her feelings, and, you know, she was like, Judge Tola getting on my nerves, and she just, because she getting it twisted, and she don't have the whole story. Nah, she got the whole story. You just don't want to hear it. See, when Judge Tola was throwing everything at Jim, you was cool with it. But now that it's kind of coming back at you, now you kind of like, nah, that ain't me, that ain't me, that ain't me, I ain't guilty. Yes, you are. You're not. I think that I feel like you're working the hardest at trying to resolve the problems, but you're not exempt from any issues. That doesn't mean you're perfect and everybody else is wrong either. So the punishment was because Judge Tola was like, Judge Tola told Chrissy the last time, you know, give him something to do, give him some chores that he can win, give him, you know, she was like, men need to feel like they can win, you know, and so she was, I forgot the term she used, but she asked Chrissy, did you give it to her? Chrissy was like, no, I didn't, because, you know, I didn't really know what to ask. She said, quick ask. That's what it was. Did you ask some quick ask? She said, I really didn't know what to ask. So their punishment was that they had to sit in the tent and make a list. And she was like, it don't have to be a list that you're going to do today. It could just be an idea of the things you want to ask him or the things you want him to do. And if you know anything about Jim and Chrissy, what is the one thing that has always been the running theme of their relationship is when they're going to get married. They've been engaged for like 8 years, right? So that came up because Chrissy was like, "Well, we don't need to talk about the marriage thing because that's the least of my concern right now." So then Jim was like, "Well, what that mean? What you mean that's the least of my concern? Why are you trying to say that's the least of our concerns right now?" And Chrissy was like, "I mean, do you want to talk about it?" And he was like, "Yeah, man, I think we need to just go ahead and just get it done. Just go ahead and put it down and plan it out and get it done." Now, quote me on this one. I think that's a setup for another show. Last year, or maybe the year before last, they had a reality show on the same network, basically with them supposedly getting married, and it was going to be on TV, and they were going through the whole process of getting married. But that's when Chrissy was like, "I can't marry you while me and your mom are still at this place. Like, I just can't. I need some time." That's how the season ended, with them not getting married. And Chrissy kept saying, "I'm not doing shit for the cameras if it ain't right. Like, I'm not doing it if it ain't right." And so it got to the end, and Chrissy was like, "I can't do it. And I really need some time to figure this out." Well, they're back together, so clearly she decided that's what she wanted to be. But I think that's a setup for them to do a part two, let's get married on TV kind of shit. But we won't see where that goes. Then we go back into the house. While they're doing that, we go back into the house. Amber and her mom get into this big argument. Now, again, it's editing, because it's nowhere in the world the argument started here, ended up there, without it being something in the middle. So the argument started here. Next thing you know, Amber's talking about when she was a kid, what her mama did when she was a kid, and how her mama treated her, and how her mama left her dad, and she was unsupervised, and that's why she hung out with the people she hung out with, and she was too young to see her mother to be that way, and all this craziness. And the Matt was like, "I knew this was going to happen. They have a lot of unresolved issues. I knew it was only a matter of time before it was going to get to this." And then Amber said it. Amber said, "Well, get on out of here then, you drug addict." And it was like, ding, 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 ding. The one thing that everybody's sort of been whispering about all this time, Amber put out there. So that's where it's going to pick up next week. So let's see where this goes. Have a good one.